Okay, good evening, folks. Welcome. I'm Afonso Zienso of the Liberia Public Radio and Lpr-Tv. This is Lpr-Tv Live with the panelists, as usual, to Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. We always here. We want to welcome our viewers and listeners right here this evening. To welcome Joatama. We want to welcome Mazik. These are our prime-time viewers, listeners, followers, Mr. Bito, Andrew, of course, Aliyu. And of course, our contributor is here, May Koto Blessing, aka Koto Jalat. Mr. Jackson, namesake, is based in Pennsylvania. The Francois, good evening, welcome, Benedict, Tom, Nora, and Allison. All of you great people who value your time, your strength, and your commitment to this network here. As you know, the 3-day gala of the Alternative National Congress just ended. And the analyst is going to be here, but we're going to do something also different here this evening. We're going to be putting the link out there because this is about Liberia, and this is the hallmark of the Liberia Public Radio. So we're going to put the link out there to make sure you're in a comfortable position. We're going to bring you in. If you followed, hopefully you followed the program, the gala event of Mr. Cummings, the ANC, and what you think, because these people they want to lead our country. We need to have an honest conversation. Put aside your seditions, your unity partisan, your ANC, your Liberty Party. But I make Liberia first. Archie Bidelt, welcome. Need Rule, welcome. Thank you so much for joining. And please just do a favor, hit the share button to invite someone at your company. And so I'm going to be putting the link here. Once the analysts come, we have a conversation. We'll put the link there and be breaking one or two persons in. To make up the directions of the country, looking at these three people, even if you are ANC, you are Unity partisan, what do you think? This is very, very much important. And this is why we say all voices matter on this network. I am Afonso Zienso of the Liberia Public Radio and Lpr-Tv. Welcome to the show. Okay, good evening, good evening, good evening. I'm Alfonso Z and so of the Liberia Public Radio Lpr-Tv. Welcome to the show. I am your host, your anchor, right here this evening outside of the main studio from Bay State of Massachusetts, broadcasting. Part of that is our commitment to you to make sure no matter where we are, I don't care how risky it might be based on what we're going to be doing, we always try to bring to you news, information, and entertainment. So we're going to be having a conversation here this evening. And like I said, I'm going to be putting the link here. Hopefully the analyst is going to be joining me. Whether you are ANC, you are Unity Partisan, you are Liberty Party, you are CDC, let's put aside this sort of partisanship here and picture the mirror, picture our country as the mirror. Like we usually do, you dress, you want to face the mirror and see what the clothes you're wearing. If you're a lady, don't you know what you're wearing? You got to put the ab latches there, put this other one, put that one, make sure because why you want to look nice. So our ultimate goal is to make Liberia to be a better Liberia. Liberia is just it's the country. It is the inhabitants that get it to be bad and horrible as it is. Me, you, politicians, stakeholders, advocates, everybody. We are the ones that are driving the country the direction it's going in. So it's not a country. It is the inhabitant, people that live there. It's just a piece of land, beautiful land designed by the Heavenly Father. And he made it rich. We got a good soil. But he who lives on that soil, if you fail to invest in the soil, you think God don't want to come down to plant anything. You know that. I know it. So let's picture our country for God's sake and put aside the politicking and the bickering. I'm a sedition, so I can listen to ANC. I'm an ANC, so I can listen to sedition. I'm a Liberty partisan. I'm a Unity partisan. I told you over and over, all of these people, they are doing it for themselves. Do not allow any politicians to say they are talking for you. Trust me, they are talking for themselves. They will be nice, they will do everything. However, we must give them the opportunity. We cannot indict them. We must give them the fair share to listen to what they have to say. Based on that, we can make an informed decision. And that's what I want us to do. And that's what I want the country to do. So when ANC folks are talking, go and listen to see what they are saying is applicable to the country. When seditions are talking, well, in as much as it might sound horrible to people, well, I don't just convict people like that. That's not my style. Listen to them. Unity Party, listen to them. The Conglo LPP, listen to them. And when you have a clear sense of all of these people, and you go to bed, and you lie down and say, God, give me a sense of direction. Let me put aside because I'm a sedition, because I'm a Liberty partisan, because I'm an ANC. Who is really have this country at heart? Who is really willing to do the right thing? All of these things are going on, to be honest, to be fair with you. And this is why sometimes people don't like what we do here, what we say here. We don't necessarily tell you what you want to know or what you want to hear. Sometimes we tell you what you need to know. Does that make it 100% perfect? Absolutely not. We learn from you a lot. Trust me, without you, we can't be here. And this is why we appreciate your strength, your conviction all of the time coming here, and even our contributors and analysts. But if you look at it critically, it is our behavior, things that we do, get us to be the country where it is. It is a decision that the country is just a sovereign land designed beautifully by the Heavenly Father. So it is left with us as an inhabitant to utilize the beauty and the mercy of the old man. Well, the time is here. And like I said, one of my contributors is here. The other folks going to be joining us. And as we have a conversation along the way, I intend to put the video link here so that we can have an engagement with you. Don't leave this conversation with us all of the time. We're talking, nya. Some of the things we talk, when we finish, we go, we forget, we can't say it. You too also have a say. You too have authority. It's your country. It is our country. We all have equal right. Don't mind what you're going to say here. We don't, and that's the good thing about this network here. People don't insult here. I love this network so much. It's an intellectual engagement, disagreement, persuasions of your side. What make your side better than his or her side? This is the conversation that we have on this network, and that's how we intend to have it be. I am Alfonso Zienso of the Liberia Public Radio and Lpr-Tv. The panelists are here. You are here. And we will make you, the Liberian, the follower, will make you to be here tonight as well. So we're going to put the link up here at a certain point of time. Once you're in your comfortable zones on your laptop, on your phone, copy, paste, click on it. It will allow you, it will ask you, allow access to your mic, to your camera, and then you type your name, you enter studio, you're going to surface here, you know, going to bring you why you support ANC, why you think ANC policy is not a right policy or CDC, and we're going to have a conversation. Well, let me bring in our senior contributor and analyst, Madame Koto J. Balayand, is joining me from the Garden City of New York, is here. We've all been following what is unfolding, and let's see here. Hopefully, other folks are going to be joining me. Okay. Madam Balayad, good evening and welcome.
Hey, hi, Mr.
Yeah,
So, how you doing?
good to be.
Hi to our people in Liberia, around the world, and I'm just glad to be here to discuss the issue of Liberia.
To discuss the issue of Liberia. Okay, thank you. By the way, how was the weekend? We had a kind of crazy overnight storm, snow here. Did it snow from New Jersey area?
No, it didn't snow in Jersey. The only thing
Really?
I had my car, like the old frozen, the ice on the windshield. That's the only thing I experienced, but no snow.
Oh, no snow?
No.
Oh man, some kind of crazy. But that's a New England bell. Some kind of crazy thing last night, and it was. I used because I didn't even know. I never thought of. I didn't monitor the weather, so I ended. Guess what? I ended up putting my hand in a plastic bag to move the snow because I couldn't locate my little stuff to do the snow. Okay, thank you so much for being here, and Egu, we want to have a conversation. We're going to look at the ended gala for the ANC. I know you watched some of it, if not all, but what does it bring? What are your change in mind? What you observe of the ANC and their political leader, Alexander Cummings, and all of that. We're going to look at it. Whatever part that you witness, we're going to look at it, and then maybe we'll look at other things as well. So, Opata Kokon washing live from a purple corner. Well, man, you are rich man. Don't declare poverty on yourself. Good, thank you for joining us here. Okay, but this is how it started during the weekend. I'm going to bring in this, play it first, and then hopefully we can have a conversation uh, here. Because they were here recently, they were making an argument. That was the organizer, including some of the officials of the ANC. Let's listen a little bit.
Pretty good. So I can say for a fact that I'm not sure there will be a very strong ANC national chapter without the support of our diaspora base. So yes, I can say for a fact that they have a very strong arm of our movement.
Okay, let me sound a little bit ridiculous here to my man Dulake. He's always here. I did hear what ordinary people paying $100 for the ticket. Their category of tickets to get this process. Because if you asking me or if you asking the ordinary, they want to know how much you who get a party, you who support the party, how much is being paid. Is the member here what? Is there some sort of taxation here to make sure you catch up with the figure of 100 grand that you want to raise or what?
So I would like Naomi to speak to you, but let me just throw in something just before she can come through. When the 100,000 ceiling or target was pronounced by the chair of the Western region, you were like, given the explanatory nature of politicking in Liberia, it was too small an amount. Mr. So that was your position. But we were very realistic, and that's how we want to govern Liberia. We were very measured, and we took into consideration some of the hiccups. Today is a 7, so you can calculate how many more days to Christmas, and you can interpret the burden that will shift on Liberians in the diaspora from Liberia. So then, plus their own responsibility.
Okay, Koto, here we have it. Plus their own responsibility, organizers of the ANC-GALA. And the reason we keep this recording because we don't want tomorrow they come and say, and I say, oh, so we're free. I must be held responsible on things I say. You should be held responsible on things that you say. The viewers must be held also accountable on things that are right and things that are author. Okay, let's have a conversation yet. Do you had a chance to, by the way, listen to Mr. Cummings during the weekend in California?
Yes, Mr. So I listened to part of it because I was like on and off because I was at work.
Yeah.
Since then, I really haven't taken time to actually watch the whole video. But it was just, like part and parcel of it that I actually got.
Okay.
And probably some of the interesting questions probably I would have loved to hear. I didn't hear it, so maybe I missed that part.
You didn't hear it. So what were some of the questions? Let me ask you, are you taking a political line because he's not your guy? Why you really wish to hear you didn't hear?
He's one of my guys, you know that, right?
Okay, yeah, that's what you said.
And I tell people they tend to ask.
But it had to be in two places at the same time. One of your guys. So who is the prime guy? Who do we hold you accountable for?
God, you coming low for confusion here today. Let's be peaceful tonight. Let's talk about Kumi and leave the other people for tonight.
Okay.
Because now you can bring the confusion and then when you come out and you want out like you in part of it.
Okay.
So leave that one tonight. Let's talk about Kumi tonight.
All right.
Yeah, see? So we'll go smoothly.
Okay.
So most of the questions were like questions that I've heard over and over. You see that everywhere the candidates go, the identical questions keep coming in and rolling. And I admire Kuman. He actually answered most of the questions according to the way he felt, and that's him. Because for me, I think politicians are people who bring their own way of understanding things and pass it on to their supporters the way they want it done. And I think that card he played that card well. What he think his presidency would be, that's what he was discussing. And it left with all of us that I stay lingering around to take what he gave us, what is good for us and what is not good for us. And I want for people to be listening to these things and not to say, because this is not the person that I want, I won't listen to them. As a politician or a love of your country, it is important that we listen to these people. Because if you do not listen to what they are saying, you just go and look at them for the physical appearance or for just that likability, you will miss something along the way. So I like to listen to the candidate, even as I can say some, nonsense sometimes. I listen to it, the good part is I listen to the good part because I don't want, the same thing that I lost part of it. It's always good if it is meant for me to make correction or, discuss it and bring up the ears of that person. It is good. But I find that most all don't listen to the candidate and just say, oh, I just like the man. Oh, I just like the woman. I just like this person. Leadership is not like likability. You want likability, go for beauty pageant, or you go for king, queen, and kings and queen thing. You see, we experience all of these things here today. Today, our country is there. People were there. We remember the late, what a man from Lima County.
The late Jackson Doe, when he and Samuel Doe had a very say, this is not beauty pageant.
Yeah, they started calling the man big nose and then, and we see people calling people very old. And when I see all of these people that I come in a political race, they are all older men. Okay, they are all older men. How many young person have we seen? And I see people say, "Oh, why you can't go look for young people to vote for? Why you can't look at a young person? Who among all of the candidates here young? No." All of them are old.
So what we did, we highlight some little points it could not be, or it may not meet the audience and other people. Oh boy, it's about to get interesting because I will kind of try to making a kind of guest here tonight. But let me just tell you, he's being like a guest here. It will depends on how he's going to conduct himself because a lot that I'm hearing, he was recorded, and I have that recording. It is quite interesting. I'm not sure what at this gala. It was held in his own time, and he was our guy there, did an extraordinary job reporting. Let me bring in the liberal progressive. He was in that
A liberal right there.
performance, and my guess it is his first encounter. What he saw this weekend and the unknown that he didn't know, for which he suggested Comey should go on a boycott. Now he had the opportunity to encounter with him. So, Koto, the question you and myself will be asking, is there any different thing? Does he really had the chance? Did he see the other side of Comey? What is running through his mind? What was his personal experience sharing with Cummings? And of course, our own Jonathan Dulake, he has worked so hard for this whole thing here. So I'm going to bring in there, the liberal progressive. Temporarily, he's a guest, yeah, but a guest got to walk a fine line because I am in charge. Let me bring in the liberal progressive. He's based in Sacramento, California. Jonathan Dulake is our senior contributor. He's also LPR analyst here and a strong supporter, by the way, Assistant Secretary General of the Opposition's Alternative National Congress. Gentlemen, good evening. I can see the fatigue in your faces because you're work crazy this weekend, but that's where you sign off for doing. So let me move this fancy here in the meantime so that our guys can see you're good and know who you guys are. Okay, Jonathan Dulaka, LPR analyst, the liberal progressive based in California. The liberal, good evening. Look, usually this week, trust me, I'm gonna be nice to you. I'm gonna let go of everything because of the extraordinary job you did there. You were a professional. So this whole week, trust me, I will be like a dumb sight. But don't the iron store, the way by football boots, don't wear iron store and walk on my back. Then you're gonna see the other side of it. Good evening, welcome. Jonathan, good evening, welcome.
Yes, good evening, Mr. So and Koto, as well as Mr. To for the marvelous job done over the weekend. For the correction, I'm the deputy secretary. Deputy
secretary?
Mm.
You said deputy secretary?
Not assistant, deputy, national deputy secretary, ANC Liberia.
Oh, deputy. Oh, wow. You see, me position when you get there, now then you will not know some of us. We will not get that. Okay.
We're not even there yet. He's the owner. I'm the owner deputy, he says.
It's unbelievable. So, okay. Good evening.
Bamboo Diva Cola. Bamboo Diva Cola. Thank you, Mr. Soul. Thank you very much. Jonathan, welcome as well. Kotu, thank you very much. Mr. Soul, I will be very careful here tonight. But the one thing for sure, the liberal remain the liberal. Nothing has changed. I will speak my mind. I'm not here for friendship. I'm not here for brotherhood. I'm here to be truthful to the Liberian people, what I believe to be the truth, and I will not hold back on that. I want to thank you very much for the opportunity, but please rest assured you're not running a show here tonight. This is Conversation with Sam. Is that what it says on there? I can't see well. Okay, all right. Maybe this is not but it should be Conversation with Samson. But anyway, I'll let you slide on that for now. But I will continue to remind you, you're the host, and the central right is not here yet. And now you're being very nice because I know as soon as the central right shows up, things gonna change. But I believe me, what I witnessed in the last 2 days, the viciousness is in me. You can call it King Jones. Coming King Jones in me. Therefore, you got to be very careful with me here tonight. I'm telling you, I'm not playing around. Yeah.
Goodness.
No, on a very serious note.
Come and get you King Jones? Man. Oh Lord. Okay,
No,
liberal.
on a very serious note, Mr. So,
Okay.
it was a
Since you're going to be
wonderful
joining
weekend,
us
to
here
be
later on.
honest.
Okay, so let's get a conversation going here. On a serious note, Libra, thank you so much. We wish we would have had some sort of post analysis, but sometimes this system, but it is what it is. It still is better late than never, and that's what I decided to focus on this year. The event started on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Correct?
Right.
Yeah. So let me ask you: was it your first time meeting Mr. Cummings face to face?
Yes.
Okay. So then you as a reporter, a liberal who is involved, what was your first instant seeing Mr. Cummings meeting him for the first time? What captured you, or what was your instinct? Let me just leave it that way.
Well, Mr. So, thank you very much for that question. Had it not been for Mr. Willanyano, my engagement with Mr. Willanyano, my friendship with Mr. Willanyano, and over the years, a conversation many times with Mr. Willanyano, I would have been a little bit surprised of Mr. Honorable Comey demeanors. But the fact that I've been with Mr. Willanyano for all a very long time, I'm not quite surprised. What happened? What was a little bit surprising to me was that Cummings, not only his demeanor, but as a reporter, I also tried to observe his postures in answering questions. Does he look at you in the eyes? Is he saying things that perhaps, because many of us peruse these Facebook and social medias, and I, like I've said, I did a lot, and I've done that, a lot of research, extensive research on Cummings, because I'm hoping to have him on here sometime. And so I was quite prepared. But what I wasn't prepared for was his ability to be likable, his ability to be relatable. I mean, he can be in a room here as highly educated as he is, and you bring my mom from Toll Town, and he will be able to get in that level of understanding. His level of communication can fluctuate. It can go to a PhD level. It can come down to my mom level, and that was very impressive. That was very impressive. One other thing that I noticed, Mr. So, and I could be wrong because I only met him one time, but I was there the first Saturday. We were there for almost 3 hours, and people, you can hide yourself, but it's difficult to hide for 3 hours. Like my mom would say, you ready to go places, something. She would say, because I used to play drum in Toll Town. You know this story. But she would say, when you're going to go play drum, make sure you take by, you clean everything. Because if you carry your dirtiness on somewhere and you dress up, sooner or later they will discover it. Because if you put your behavior underneath it, find out the one that people can find out the right, you hide your behavior there, it will not take long before your behavior comes up. And I've always been careful. And so when it was my time to ask question, I asked a serious question, and the answer from Mr. Cummings were for me, it seemed to me genuine. And one of the Saturday engagement, what I took out of the Saturday engagement,
Okay, so
he does
okay,
not. Mr. You go
yeah,
ahead.
hold on one
Go
second.
ahead.
See, I told you, yeah, I'm gonna be nice. Don't. And the reason we're not going to be scapegoating here because
Mr.
people are
So, this
following.
is the
Hold on
liberal.
one second. Hold on one second. People are following. I don't want us to make statement that is kind of like something and then say, oh, but why he didn't do a follow? You know me for that. So you find the answers to be genuine. What prompted that authenticity for the answer to your questions to be genuine?
Well, some of the questions that I ask, for me, I decided to take a different route. Why? There were four of us in the room, were not in the room, but there were 4 media personnel that were allowed to ask questions, 4 questions each, and so Mr. Connor, Sekou Connor was in the room. Mr. Bole was in the room as a reporter, and Julius, I believe his name is Julia Lofa, was in the room as a reporter.
Yeah, across
Right,
Africa.
and also as the Liberal was in the room as a reporter as well. And so many of us, the rest of the group was asking a political question. I would consider that political question in terms of current situation, what is happening in Liberia and things like that. He answered it, but I wasn't paying close attention to those political issues because I've already formulated my own question. I wanted to make sure that I asked it correctly, that I didn't miss the beat. So when it was time for me, I did ask my question respectfully. And the question that I asked was, why, with all these accolades that he has gotten, he's been way all the way to the top of Coca-Cola chain, food chain, and what have you. He's not broke. Why are you going to put all of that on the side and come to Liberia to be president of the Republic of Liberia? What was the reason? In as much as people respect him all over the business, how do you call it, arena, he is well respected. And believe me, you go do research, you will know that. So why? Then the question was, why will you come down, not down to Liberia, but to Liberia, and then have people to make these kinds of ridiculous statements? Some of us, we know they are not true, but yet still you decided to do. And he answered very genuinely. What he said was that he was blessed and to be able to get these kinds of position, but that his intent was the fact that he was blessed. He wants to share that whatever knowledge that he has gotten overseas, he wants to share that, make sure things happen in Liberia. And so one of the reasons, according to, I'm just paraphrasing now, one of the reasons was that he wanted to make sure whatever contribution he can make to the improvement of the lives of Liberian citizens, he will want to do that. So that's one question. And the other question that I asked was, as I've always been preaching here, that I truly believe that coming went into the collaboration process of trusting without verifying or without asking. So I asked him that. I said, did you go into this? Like Ronald Reagan would say, going into this, trusting the Liberian old politicians without verifying that they are trustworthy. And of course, he smiled a little bit. And then he began to tell me that, Samson, look, for me, he said, there are 2 types of people. People go into relationship. One, other people go into relationship holding back their trust until those that are in the relationship with him, with that person, can earn the trust. But once that trust is earned, it's difficult to withdraw that. And he said there are other groups that will go into relationship trusting, and they left with the people who the relationship is trusted to do things that the other person will withdraw that trust. And I am in the second category, he says. But once that trust is taken away, it's very difficult for me to restore that, he says. And one last question that not the last, but one other interesting question that I asked that made me now to feel to make this statement here publicly here tonight, that I do not think that Kumi is vindictive. President Weah is vindictive. Honorable Ambassador Baka, in my estimate, Mr. So, the Liberal is on the floor, please. I say so, and I have my reason. People can disagree with me, I don't care. But I believe Ambassador Baka is very vindictive, just like President Weah. Now, when I ask this question, the reason why I believe Honorable Comey does not seem to be, from my perspective, just the time that I was there, does not seem to be, or at least he did not exhibit that vindictiveness. Was a question that I asked about not trusting, I mean, trusting but not verifying. But then I asking this question. That in Liberia, the fact that you have been away this long and getting involved after 2017 election up to this point, as president, we have done anything that perhaps you will be able to say yes or say one or two things here that the president has done? And he said, Mr. Sampson, let me don't beat around the bush. I am not a hater. I do not come to these things with hate, but I will be truthful. And since you asked me that, let me just say, he said, I can look all around. There's nothing that I can say this president has done that I can say, yes, he had done something good. There were so many promises. There's nothing you can show for. So I can't sit here and say yes, but I must be careful how I make that statement. I'm paraphrasing again, because I do not want to come across as being hateful. Now, if the person in his capacity would turn to me first and say, I do not come to this position with hate, and then to wrap it up, to say that I have to be careful how the answer come out, because I do not want to be seen as being hateful, then that for me, that type of person seem to be that the hate and the vindictiveness it does not come across at all, Mr. So.
Okay, hold on. Let me bring it. Gentlemen, trust me, this one here is right in the hot water is boiling right in your hand. So we're not making you spectators. We just want to get a kind of little broad sense. This is the guy. I'm hearing some strange thing here tonight. My whole body here is kind of like falling with aim from the Libra here. It's like, So, Koto, you listen to the Libra. Do you have a question for him? I mean, he was there. So it's good for us to get an insight. Jennington was there. Jennington is an official of ANC. Not that we're not going to trust his statement, but we want to take it from the outside of the ANC bareway. Lofa Julius, I'm not sure whether he prepared. I know I saw him here. If you want to come on here for us to get your take, that's okay. But like I said, with you guys concerned, these people want to be leaders. So we want everybody to get involved. So I'm going to be putting the link here. We'll just bring two person account, spend 1 minute. Whoever wants to come, fine. If they don't come, that's okay. Just to know what their own feelings. But we call for complete civility in this national conversation. Let me go to you, Koto. You heard the Liberal journalist there. And then, do you have a question for him? Unmute your mic.
All right, thank you, Liberal. I saw you working so hard yesterday, and it was so good, and that was just good of you. I appreciate the effort you put in. And those
okay, Lofa, please copy that link. Lofa, please copy that link and join us. Thank you so much.
Okay, and those questions you asked, they were also questions that runs to mind. Only one that I didn't hear, but I don't know in my absence or why I wasn't, or maybe the time you guys were there, somebody would have asked the question. And one of the questions that I would have asked, or if somebody asked them whether you got the answer, the response to that was, okay, Mr. Kumin seems to be a leader now. Okay. And knowing that he is in marriage with the Liberty Party, part of the Liberty Party. What have he done, knowing that the Liberty Party is in the split mood or in a confusion? What has he done as a leader collaborating with portion of the Liberty Party to seek peace in the Liberty Party? Because in having a party, taking the name of the party and having portion of the party off does not mean peace for me. I don't know whether anybody asked that question there, but that is a question that I have for both of them.
Okay, the Liberal.
Yes.
Before you come in there, somebody asked a question, and these are people that also believe in what we do. Let me just respond to it before, Mr. Dr. Kula, I believe, is asking, are you the Liberal, progressive, or consecutive, and others going to weird town hall meeting? Dr. Kula, I believe it's Dr. Kula. Good question, but I can tell you, unfortunately, not. And the reason is simple. I called the embassy. I spoke with the director of public affairs. I spoke with CDC chairperson. I spoke with their communication over 3, 4 different numbers. Up to press time, they promised to call. They asked me to relate to Prince Sharif and Michael Gilman. And I felt that was an insult. I was like, okay, but however, we in this business, we can do anything to cover the event. But I was curious why. This is the president of the Republic of Liberia. This should, okay, I understand the party, but the embassy, they are surrogates, they are supporters. That is okay. So why should they grant me a permit? LPR registered with GOL in Liberia, 4th registered entity on affair as a communication group. So what is the licensing of these people that we should go there? But I don't want to go there. Hopefully, I think the event starting tomorrow, so it's not possible. ANC reached out to us. We had a series of conversation what our role going to be, whether we're going to be at liberty to ask questions, whether they are not going to be a bureaucratic, and those things will work out. So unfortunately, Dr. Takula, we will not be there because perhaps I don't think they want us to be there at this time. Liberal, go there. Go ahead.
Well, thank you. But I think there's one of us having some sort of it's an echo somewhere. So I'm not too sure where the echo is coming from.
It's from Mr. So. I think it's been happening for some time now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an echo in your background when you're talking.
So, okay, what I would be doing, anybody who not talking, we just mute people and see what happens. Okay. Liberal, go ahead. Let me see.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Kotu. That question was not asked. If it was asked, perhaps I didn't hear it. But here's what was mentioned, and I want to do justice here, even though that question was not asked. But when it comes to collaboration, Honorable Comey made it clear that a few more people were going to be joining them here, and that the people that will be joining people who are welcome. And he did not specify who and what particular character of people he wants, but he just made it clear that anybody that want to join will join. So that's but that particular question, like where you phrase it, was never asked as such. But what am I this year? Let me just say something. Let me just give you another stuff from last night, Mr. So, if I have the time.
Sure.
You want? Okay. So last night was a town hall meeting. I think all of you saw that, and I'm not going to go into all of the nitty gritty because I did work, seriously work hard for 3 hours. It was coming and the liberal when on their feet. We were not coming, didn't sit down, and I believe I told myself if coming will not sit down, myself will not sit down too, because he's here for work, myself here for work. The other group that were there with us, the other media institute that were there with us, they after a few times they all grabbed their seat, and so it was basically Honorable Comey and the liberal were on their feet for 3 hours. Now, having said that, there were so many things, so many questions I was posed to for the 3 hours I was posed to Honorable Comey. But what I do believe is that the way the question was posed and the way the question was asked, it was in unison, so to speak. I mean, it was just like somebody was ballroom dancing or something. If I didn't know better, if I wasn't there, I would have thought to myself that perhaps some of the questions were presented to Comey beforehand. Because whatever question that is posed to him, calmly, and I'm emphasizing the word calm here because there was no rush. Calmly, he was able to answer those questions and even expand on it. Now, interestingly, of course, this is a political party rally, so you will expect many of the people in the room to be ANC folks. But I live here in Sacramento. I've been here for almost 20 some more years now. So I know many of the Liberian communities here, people in the community. And I know many of these people, their political affiliation, because I've been around and I'm a political junkie. So many of these people that were there last night were not, some of the people that I know were not members of ANC. I know that for sure. Because the other political party have been around and people transport themselves from Sacramento to go to the other political party rally. So they can be going to the rally and say there's ANC. So not. But whatever question that was posed to Honorable Comey, it calmly answered it and even expand on it. Now, one of the things that I took away, because some of the question was very rough, that I, as a liberal, most likely would have walked off the stage. I will not entertain questions, some of the questions that was coming to Mr. Comey last night. I would have walked off the stage and I would have told the person, you can take a Liberian presidency and I'm out of here. I would have done so. But no, he was able to answer very calmly and even encourage people to ask whatever question he wants to ask. And let me put my man Jonathan on the spot right now. When the first meeting on Saturday, Jonathan, who was a deputy secretary general, he was doing his work because they put together and put a list of items that people were supposed to ask questions of. And Jonathan tried to warn us, the press, give us some sort of a straight jacket, what kind of question, and not what kind, but what realm of question that's. And Honorable Comey said, no, they can ask whatever question they have. So last night, what I noticed is his ability, not just his ability to answer questions, but that his temperament. I've not seen that before out of Liberians. I've been around, and this one, I would say how long I've been around. I've been in the Liberian community. I've been in the Liberian politics since 1982. When I came in this country, there was another guy here that used to be here called Dr. Marcus Down before he became PhD. And we used to have people like D.K. Wansley and myself used to be together, stay in the same house for days. So I've been around. I've been to ULA community. I've been to ULA convention. I've been to all African convention. I was here with Dr. Sawyer, Dr. Tipote, and the rest of the people used to meet at Akron University to have conversation. So I know. Because those type of conversations sometimes can get heated and people will say things. But to watch a Liberian, I know he been Coca-Cola tap, but to watch that kinds of behavior exhibited yesterday, his calmness, his temperament is beyond reproach. I would say so.
Okay, all right. Let's welcome our own friend and brother from across Africa, Lofa Julius, doing an extraordinary job. All of you guys were there. Hey, Lofa, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. And again, thanks for having me on, Mr. So. Highly appreciate it.
All right.
Everybody on here tonight, really appreciate it. Thanks to you guys for being on here. Good evening. Mr. To and I actually hung out this weekend, and he did a terrific job, as he have emphasized that he did not sit at one point in time. Not only did he move, he was there to get a job done, and of course, he got the job done. Beyond all reasonable doubt. So I said thanks for inviting me on here again tonight. And I felt like, every time I have the opportunity to sit with you on here, I'm always glad to be a part of the conversation. Hi, Auntie Koto, how you doing?
Hey, I'm fine.
Okay. I'm going to be bringing you in here today. I want to be bringing you in here, but let me bring Jonathan now. He's been very tolerant and patient as official. So, Jonathan, let me ask you, the gala ended, correct? That was Sunday was the last event.
Certainly.
Okay. From your perspective here, you as an ANC guru, do you think mission was accomplished? Do you think unveiling Mr. Cummings, the entire event, do you think you get a hallmark?
I certainly believe so. But firstly, let me say thanks to Julius Brown who is famously known to be Lofa Julius, Mr. Samson Tour, who represented, Julius Brown, of course, represented across Africa. Mr. Samson Tour represented LPR, including yourself, who were in studio and carrying on the program. Mr. Sekou Kanen and Steve Bole, who represented SKTV for covering the program both on Saturday and on Sunday. We appreciated you guys so very kindly. It was a wonderful event. It started on Friday, as a matter of fact. Mr. Ellis Cummings had an opportunity to interact with Assembly woman, May Bontad. May Bontad, he interacted. We had an event because we're trying to connect both California and Liberia in his dream to become president and aspiration. He also had an opportunity to have interacted. It was unfortunate. Assemblywoman Laura Wilson could not be there. She was represented by Elisa Williams, who represented her, and it was again wonderful. It was a great interaction. We had Dr. Ernest Owuzi. Dr. Ernest Owuzi is the director for the Center for African Peace and Conflict Resolutions. He's a professor at the California State University and chair of the Criminal Justice. He has interacted with Liberia backdated as far as during former Chief Justice Madam Gloria Scott days. So he has a fair understanding of our peace and resolution process, and he's willing to make his contribution as much as possible in order to make Liberia peace be sustained. So those were personalities that we interacted with on the Saturday event. Other personalities that came at that event was Anthony George Jones. He's a Chamber of Commerce. He worked at the Chamber of Commerce, and he graced our occasion. And so it was such a wonderful interaction, both on Friday, Saturday, and on Sunday. But very importantly, the Friday event, and my estimate I'm getting from the Saturday event specifically is around the neighborhood of both the Saturday and the Sunday event is around the neighborhood of, from the fundraising aspect, roughly it should be around the neighborhood of 65,000, very probably underestimated, but it is not very exact, but it should be around the neighborhood of 65,000 US dollar. Sunday, we were able to raise 5,000 instantly within the crowd. It was life touching. We also have the social aspect of the entire process, which were also graced by Cassie Money, a local Liberian musician who graced the occasion, because we also wanted to have local content of the process. The media engagement was quite a wonderful engagement. Like Mr. Toh said, we had a laundry list of different topics or catchy issues in our mind. That question could be derived from. People can ask questions. But Mr. Cummings already said that the media should ask questions that is within their grasp. And that was quite wonderful. We had a wonderful MC, to do this fundraising. You need to have people who know how to grab the attention of the people. And so the MC will have two genders. We had Mr. Lorenzo Weeks, who did exceptionally well on the program as an MC, and he was called. He co-MC along with Mrs. Marie Mandy, and they did extremely well. We had food, we had drinks, we had a good time, we interacted, and it was quite marvelous. On Sunday again, it was quite reinforcing. People who went to church, church had to end around the neighborhood was 12:01, and people had to remain there up to 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock, the town hall began, and it's ended. And we say thanks to Pastor Tim Wula, who also hosted us in the church, but not just hosting us, but he was able to provide lunch for the friends at the program, and then the ANC itself to were able to feed in after the program again. But it was quite a wonderful event. People had a
Okay.
feel of Mr. Cummings, being distant away from Mr. Cummings and listening to all the Facebook posts and radio, interview, or having a direct interaction with him. I think it won for us a huge constituent, and the news are going to far and wide. People who doubted Mr. Cummings, who were even critical of Mr. Cummings, have now started trooping in and not just saying it was, but they were contributing willfully to the process yesterday. I'd like to say thanks
Okay.
to Madam Yasa Goba Washington Dolake, my own, who chaired the program, the committee, my own wife. She did extremely well. Madam Naudi Washington, she was the regional coordinator for the Western region. Madam Benu Griffin Washington did extremely well. We have a list of people, Mr. Gaia Reese, who was at the program. And so it was just a wonderful, and as the names come along the way, I would just call their names out,
Okay.
but they all contributed to a teamwork that got this thing. And the Yates family did extremely well. It was an impromptu, and they hosted breakfast for us in and out. The Mendy's did extremely well. Bismarck, Mendy, and wife.
So
So I just want to say thanks,
yeah.
and it was a wonderful event. But we can take the other question on.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let me turn to man, Lofa Junior. Hey, Lofa, man, thank you so much for everything. Sitting down over all night on your platform, talking about your country, things that you strongly believe, things that you feel should be happening, the educational aspect, the awareness, and try to set the tone of the directions of our country. It takes people of a sacrifice to do that. You could be pushing your hour, I could be pushing an hour, but we sit and have this conversation. They don't know how time consuming it is. I would just say thank you and I follow you. Sometimes I will not be there live, but I always make sure go back to see it because I've gotten to realize your conversation is a conversation of substance. And so thank you for that. Having mentioned that yet, you were at the program, correct, across Africa.
Correct.
Yeah. Uh, I believe you have interviewed Mr. Cummins in the past, correct?
Yes. Yes, I have.
Okay. What you saw the last time of your interview, then what you've seen for this time around. What is the newest thing that you see that maybe catch your I love maybe I talked to Mr. Cummins, I interviewed him, but I'm seeing a different side, or this is unusual. What was the eye-catching thing that got your attention this time around?
You know, let me start up by saying, first of all, what really gives me wanting to listen or to even engage Mr. Comey is his willingness to be engaged. And that is something that is not common among our politicians. As I excuse me for my core term, but that's yeah, that's who they are. Very often, most politicians in Liberia, they tend to only circle themselves with either journalists or reporters who would favor them with questions or questions that are comfortable for them. Even most of the events that are hosted out here, I mean, you can bear me witness. CDC hosting their events, they close it to only members of their political party. Other political institutions follow the same trend. But what I have realized, and I literally as of last night, excuse me, the weekend, it even reassured me that his willingness to discuss national issue void of any border, as Mr. Toe rightfully said, when we entered the room, I told Mr. Jodakai, before I even got there, I said I do not confine myself to specific questions if I'm engaging anybody, and that's the reason why I don't push for interviews. You can either accept my questions as they come, but I would not give you pre-written questions or questionnaires for you to prep on. So when we got in the room, when he said, "Oh, we had these questions," Mr. Cummings said, "No." Any question, is acceptable here. And I started, the entire conversation. I am again impressed by the fact that he is willing and accepting the opportunity to engage the press, regardless of what political institution you're from, regardless of what media institution you represent. He's opening himself up because if Mr. Cummings was to become the next president in Liberia, we will have to engage him in several different ways. And he availed himself and was very calm, demeanor wise. And matter of fact, engaged us as though this was just a conversation. He did not make it seem like it's an interview. He made it seem like, okay, this is a conversation that we are having. You want to get to know me. You are interviewing me for a job. And so let me give you my honest answer so that you can view it from a technical perspective, professionally, and then incorporate my experience, which supports the practical aspects of things that I may be bringing to the job. And so that idea, that in itself just tells me, okay, Mr. Cummings is opening up. He's now becoming like this guy. The first time I interviewed Mr. Cummings, he was a little bit, pushed back on certain things. But now I feel like he's opening up. He's telling people, look, I am your man. I am the guy you want to represent you. He in fact distinctly made the case when he said something specific. He said, in this case here, you have three options. You have the past, the future, and the present. Now, you make that determination. Who in their right mind cannot make that determination? It's up to you because, again, you have Honorable Burkai, who served in the previous government, the past, the present, President George Weah, who is serving in the present government, and you know how things are going. In the future, you're yet to see me, Alexander B. Cummings. So I feel like he's reaching out to people. He's actually appealing to them. He's bringing the message, and he's understanding what is really happening. Now, is that going to, translate into other things that people expect in governance? Now, I cannot speak for that. But for now, I feel like his engagement with the diaspora community, and of course, what I see him continue to do on the trails in Liberia, that is very impressive. And that's what encouraged me very often when I'm invited to their events. I try not to turn them down because I feel like I am the gateway. I am that border to information for the rest of the other Liberians who may not have the opportunity to be there. So I can see for myself. And very often, once the invitation comes, the network is invited, or me as an individual, I'm invited. I go there, even though we get the criticism, we are referred to as ANC
Okay,
journalists.
let me hold you down now. I don't like to. Okay, Pat George, welcome to the show. That we're gonna have a conversation. So, are you an ANC journalist?
I would let the ANC for make that determination. Obviously, I'm not. But again, you can never satisfy one side of the coin, especially when you serve in this capacity as a journalist or
I
even a
know.
reporter. Everybody have their choice.
Exactly, and I quite agree with you because I don't care what you do. Once you talk it, if it's good for that day, it
Yes.
has up to you.
Yeah.
You will be there.
Yeah.
If it's there, the other people will label you. Okay, Pat George, welcome.
No.
So, yeah, let's have a conversation. Koto, don't hesitate to come in here. Okay, thank you so much, Julius. Something.
Yes.
Let me bring you a liberal. I tend to put you in the spotlight here because you are one of those being crying and crying and crying. So I kind of want to get a sense. You have had a chance to meet this guy here. Is there change in mind, overall perceptions, thinking? He's not connecting. He's not a connector. He needs to be second to this year. But I think this conference, this meeting here, it closes the door. In the interim, politician, anything can happen. But for now, and that was quite fascinating because I did hear him saying in 3 months he's going to be picking his vice president. Correct, Julius Something? You guys were there.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so it means he's in it. He's into this political fight. Now, is there anything that twitch your mind? Is there any difference? Something that kind of like, this is guy. I used to think about this guy here. Let's turn this camera off here a little bit and pretend like no one is watching us, the liberal progressive. I know you are involved.
Thank
But
you. Thank you. As you know, I am a strong admirer of Ambassador Bakai. I have not put that on the table. I've always made that clear. However, the fact that I am and I've also explained to you, I don't know them, they don't know me either. I just admire him. That's it. Now, before I used to argue, and then Cummings, there's a video to that where he said he's not connected. Now, I went back, like I said, I did some research. I went back and looked at that video. What I didn't get, and I'm going to eat crow here tonight, which I usually do, I don't mind that, is that at the end of that video, the part that he said he's not connected, the phrase in there that perhaps escaped my mind, and not intentionally, was that he said, I'm not connected because I've been away for long. And therefore, if anybody that would do anything wrong and the government throw you in jail or government arrest you or something like that, the fact that I'm not connected with them, they won't send their sister, their brother, and people then to come beg me. That was that comment. So I want to clarify that. Now, I'm also on record. I've been here for months, if not years, saying that Cummings has the ability to lead. He has a good leadership ability, but I felt within myself at the time that perhaps he needed to go second to Ambassador Bakai, so that when Ambassador Bakai, who I also believe will not go second round, will not go second turn, then that will be the opportunity for Cummings, who will have already demonstrated his ability to lead, to completely take over Liberia and then take on the responsibility of leading us. Without having said all of that, Mr. Soul, I think this going weekend, the fact that I have the opportunity to meet and have conversation with Honorable Cummings, I believe now that I think that besides him making that pronouncement, as politician, they can change anytime. But I believe that station, that's I call it, train had left the station. I think they will each go their way, and I think they will each try their best to win. Now, what I saw this weekend, and I'm just giving you what I saw and what I know, it's my feelings. I'm entitled to it. You can disabuse me on it by saying something different, that's fine. But that's my feeling. I'm entitled to it. What I saw this weekend, if Cummings continuing this process with his ability to explain, I said before and I will say again, you put him in a room with full of PhD, the explanation will be well. You put in a room with my mom who can't speak English except no English, or Wallace English, or bigger market English, he will do well as well. Now, with that kinds of mindset, think that and the kinds of way of talking, connecting, he connects with people very easily. And if that kinds of thing, what I saw this weekend, if that is how he's operating in Liberia, then I think Ambassador Bakai and the rest of the people better be ready. I think the election, even if they don't come together, they will get President Weah to run for his money. They can have all the money they have, and President Weah sitting there, not coming on these little platform and things that they're continue to think that people are now our platform or other people's platform doesn't worth his time and depend on his popularity alone. They're going to eat into that popularity. And what do I say that? Especially Cummings. When Cummings start pounding into the people, what I've been saying here that I was going to be doing, which I have binders for the unforced error by CDC and President Weah. But Comey is not going to mind buying it. He already have his own buying it. And if he continue to enforce and if continue to demonstrate to the gathering, whatever gathering, of the mistakes upon mistakes upon mistakes. And this is how he phrases it. Facts, he says. And nobody can dispute that. Because these are things that every Liberian know about. Who in Liberia or this age or from Liberia that don't know about $16 billion missing? Who in Liberia that don't know about the $25 million map out? Who in Liberia that don't know that the rice price is going up? Who in Liberia that don't know they said they were going to bring ship to bring electricity in Liberia and that? Who in Liberia don't know these things? And so when Comey start enumerating these things, facts upon facts, Liberian will gravitate. And just to wrap this up, Mr. Soul, and the way he does is this, and which I've really, really admired. He will say, and I'm paraphrasing again, among us, you are not electing Jesus Christ, you are not electing Muhammad. You are going to look at people who are all flawed people because we're all human beings. But you must be engaged. You must stop sitting on the fence. Get inside and make your choice. And he's not telling you right away to choose him. He's telling you, first of all, he's inviting you to get off the fence line, to get involved. And once you get involved, then perhaps you will listen to him and be able to pick his ideas.
Wait a minute. Let's have a conversation. Lo-Fi, Jeneton, Koto, Amos George is here. Look, is that a liberal speaking here tonight?
Mr. Soul, the fact that I'm a liberal makes me a strong candidate to be in all of these political gatherings because I will not lie to nobody. And I will tell you, I still admire Ambassador Baka, but I have not had the opportunity to attend Ambassador Baka gathering. This is my first time going to any of the political. I must be truthful. What I saw is what I'm just telling you. I'm not making it up. And there's video to it.
Mr. So, if I will, please, I just want to chime in with this, in just to kind of buttress what Mr. To was saying here tonight. I feel like at some time down the line, I came to the realization that certain candidates in the race felt, or they not even felt, but they feel entitled. It is my turn. They will give it to me. They are not showing work to show that I need this, I want this, help me get it. Instead, they feel like it is my entitlement and it will be given to me. And so you notice that they are not putting in any work as compared to what I noticed Mr. Cummings is doing. Since 2017, this is one of the first candidate who have been on the field, engaging the people in the diaspora and back home. So what that brings to my mind is this guy is really asking me to hire him as an employer. I want to see your desire, and that's why we conduct interviews. How is it that you are going to get this job done? So if you're reaching out, you're showing to me that you really want it, instead of feeling like, okay, because the economy is bad or because we have Ebola, Corona, so a lot of people are quitting. So you need people to hire. So definitely you're just going to bring me on, regardless of my professional background, regardless of my experience. That's what I'm noticing from a lot of the candidates in the race. They're saying, hey, you're going to need me. So regardless of what I do, I don't need to tell you what I can do for you. I don't need to present anything to you. I am entitled to this. You're going to give it to me. Mr. Cummings is saying, I will tell you what I can do. I will tell you what I can bring to the table, and I will allow you to make that decision.
And Mr. So let me just point out something which I thought was very funny. I consider that overhead jab. He said last night, and I thought it was very funny. He said last night, but that's just to illustrate his true engagement process and his way of engaging and attracting people. Mm-hmm. He said this. He said, I will give President Weah something. When he was playing football, he was the best ever from our country. his son score goal, and I appreciate that. Because I, as a parent, would like to do that. Would like to see my kids do best as well. Do well as anything else. But the interesting thing he says, now many of you watching play, and I'm paraphrasing now. Were you able to hear or see him wearing the captain band? The crowd go, no, it's okay, because he was never given the captain band. He was never the leader. But in my field of play, I was the captain. I thought I was very.
Yeah, let me bring in Amos George. I followed the program yesterday, and for me personally, there are things that you look for in people, and that's what I would ask you that question. Leadership, it comes with temperament, and there was a breach. What he did yesterday, that also showed another side of his leadership. And technically, Jennington, do not hold Jennington responsible, because when you go into interview or whatever interview you're going for, you're not necessarily given the questions, but you have to give an outline. Well, we'll talk on infrastructure, we'll talk on health, we'll talk on education, and all of that. And I think because I know they share that with all of the media group, but he came and knowing what he aiming at, he created an open-ended situation scenario for the media people to ask. I think that was a very smart move on himself, not putting that barrel on the way. Let me bring in Amos George here. I think Amos here is boiling with him, smiling, laughing, because that his guy he also support. Mr. George, no question. I think ANC get a high core supporter here, not just only supporter people who talk, but I think they are willing to pump money into this. Cummings, you could say, okay, Donald Trump, he get money. No if and but about that. He's not boastful of his money. That's one of the good things he's doing, and he's doing it very, very cleverly. Other than that, he's going to do it. Because other than that, he won't even call for fundraiser. He would just throw it somewhere there, end of his group, and profess like as if they're doing this. So he's doing it very strategically. His base in the diaspora here, I began to get a sense very strong, very supportive. People, I saw a lot of people from different states. They are gone there. Nobody pay anybody with my guess. I don't want to say that, but it seems to me that why it appears to be for them to raise that kind of money, what Mr. Dulake was saying. In the diaspora, it seems to be very strong. You supporting him. What does he need to do right now inside Liberia? Because at the end of the day, this dumber what we're beating here, we will swallow it. Like Brother said, we're going to swallow it in Liberia. How should he? Because I'm worried, and that's my view of our electorates. Not all of them, but for the most part, they're not having engagement. They are not asking this leader what they can do. People have already made up their decision how to vote and how they're going to do their vote. If Cummings and the ANC to get to the finishing line, what do you think he needs to do? Looking at what electorates, their decision making, and things that they draw conclusion on, what do he need? What do you think he needs to do now for Liberia?
Let me say hi to Andy Cotto, Mr. Lova Julius, Samson Bokuto from Total, and Jonathan. Before that, I want to make a comment. Mr. Jonathan, let me tell you this. You know, when the press is coming to interview your persons, you want to outline. I mean, you can give them a topic. What you want to know what they will be talking about. Maybe give some outline. Hey, what are infrastructure, healthcare, this and that, and that's it. But I don't want to see that people must submit question to you before pre-question.
I don't think that's what he was saying. Is that what you said, Jonathan?
So maybe I got it wrong, but maybe he made a part on that.
No, it was not. That was in the case. It was just an.
I think the gift of variety of outline, which is a traditional thing.
No, it's a tradition, yeah.
Right.
But you see, before I said, and Comey did something yesterday. Out of this normal way of operating. I think one of the guys asked a question, very provocative question. And the hall went like, hey, And he said, no. Let the man ask or anybody ask any question. It was relating to the gay issue. And he said, let the man or let people ask any question they want to ask. And that's one thing I always say about Mr. Cummings. Those are some of the attributes I like about him. Open up. Because the moment you try to close up, people will have a whole lot of speculation. But let me go to your question. You asked. I have always said this thing here. What is happening in Liberia now, we need the Jehovah's Witness style of campaigning. You have to go to the people. And since 2017, Mr. Cummings has been doing that. But I think now the election is coming, it needs to be more intensified. Because there are other people who feel that this thing is for them. Entitlement is in Liberia for leadership. That is my time. So they don't need to go to the people. And we have to change that mentality. Because if you want something, you have to go and seek for it. But it's not enough. It has not been the way of Liberian people life. It's Peter was there, so when Peter more are supposed to come there. And we have to disabuse the minds of those leaders who want to be like, this country belongs to me. So that's my time. No other person can come in. We have to start. And how do we start? Is by engaging the people on the ground. And I always say that and let me be very blunt here. Right now I can speak. Only two counties I see the ANC they have been very active in Mosorado and Nima County. And I wanted to ask Jonathan, so what happened to Bom and Lofa? What happened to Bassa? Because the moment I see between Nima and Lofa, and Mosorado, it's not happening in other counties. And I want to know from you, what is going on? So those other counties are not important. I think you people should take the whole approach to this issue here. Every vote counts because politics is number. Every vote counts. For me, I say straight. I call people from ANC Morocco and talk to them and say, hey, what are people doing? So with the resources that you are gathering, I expect people to get on the ground because everything, Mr. Cummings cannot be everywhere at the same time. That's why you got surrogates, that's how you have leaders, people will go to represent you. And I have always about people always giving the excuse, oh, it's not campaign time. No, it's not campaign time, but you have to continue to go to engage the people. You can go and speak on different topics, economics, healthcare, roads. What do you think can be done to the community? So this is what needs to be done, and they have to take this campaign to the people, engaging these people in every part of Liberia. Water, Basel, Bom, Lofa, Bapolo, go there. It's all going to go in your opposition camp, your enemy camp. So campaign there. Carry the message to them. And this is what I expect. What needs to be done, that is, they have to get on the ground. Because this notion that the people had developed, he just come and nobody know him. But this man ran 2017. He can tell in Mosorado. So what I expect the ANC to do, these are some of the things they need to do. Focus on the ground everywhere. No country is less important than the other country. You have to focus because we saw it here. When Hillary Clinton she had Wisconsin and Philadelphia, what happened? She lost everything. Lost everything completely. She didn't win Wisconsin. She didn't win Pennsylvania. She didn't win it because she thought everything was in the basket for her. So those areas were not important. And Donald Trump ended up winning those things, and he became the president of the United States. So this is the same thing I want to remind the ANC folks. We should not make mistakes.
All right. So Akoto,
yeah,
I think you've been listening for
let me say this for you people. I will be married my second wife in Ghana.
Oh,
you do what?
that John where you want to go to? Don't mind.
God got a message.
Yeah, the old man full of trouble.
That John where he going to?
Seriously? Where are you trying to spoil? Welcome
I don't want to believe. I don't want to believe that.
The Ghana business you bring, that trouble you want to bring on in that way.
We're not even going to commentate that. If that's some confusion you want to start here, I don't know.
I'm inviting. That's an open invitation. So
Okay. Let me take a little take here. Koto, let me just bring you in here.
Yeah, man.
You know, you've been listening here completely. And I think from yesterday, in the past, I've not given it credence because I followed his interview with the late Damake, and this gay stuff here is a complete stupid nonsense, a complete distraction for us to talk about things that matters to Liberia. Obe, a guy who is not credible, the guy who CDC let down, a guy, in fact, he lied here. There was a case that happens in Rhode Island around 90s or 80s. He lied here to say that even Piso Sedita killed her husband and was showing nothing. I think I talked to Labor. I saved that video today. So these are that's the danger of going to places to obtain information, because those information these people talk about, you process it and you eventually act on them. That's the danger in the society we're in today of these people that just spill out things without and asking questions. So that nonsense, I think, once and for all. And I like how he comments put it yesterday. And let him ask. I think that question came out 2, 3, 4 times.
Yeah.
And that's where I value his temperament as a leader. Because leader, you must be the last decision maker. Because I was waiting to see whether there was some sort of or temperament issue we're going to kick in. But he said no. And he listened. And that, I think, put that to rest. So that thing is a waste of time. But let me ask you, with this whole thing here, what do you think is still lacking? Do you observe anything that is still lacking? There's what he needs, something that he needs to do?
Yeah, I think it is the soul. With my little experience and my little time I spent in the little surrounding in Liberia, because if I'm not mistaken, my major time of politicking started 1997 when we had Charles Taylor, at the time, the election with Charles Taylor. And by the way, Mr. Joy, you were making some comparison with our lady, why she didn't win. She won the popular vote, but it was the electoral vote. So they get that right. Yeah.
Please, man.
So yeah, where can make people win election here?
Yeah?
Where can make people win election here?
Electoral college.
No, I mean, yeah, where can make the thing that's supposed to make all the win?
Exactly. So it is different from our own. So I don't want him to make comparison with our election. That's why.
Okay.
Right. For what I observed in our electoral process in Liberia is people have that mentality of the name that registering on their mind. And it's like I've tried to picture it this way. You do the writing and run a line in a paper. When you come again and run that line, it gets darker. You come again, run that line, you will see you start to make a square or a rectangle, and it goes on to make a feature. But just a one line will not give you a clear feature of anything. And that's why I see it about our election in Liberia. I understand that Kume is making this step, this step that he's taking, and which I appreciate so much, because for me, what I have achieved, it has been because of persistency. I can tell everybody my story that I used to be stutterer. I would never sit in like a talk show like this to even partake in talk show. But my persistency and asking people how do I overcome it made me to overcome, stuttering. And, like today, even though I still stutter, but I have outgrown it, to some level. And like Mr. Tosa and Lofa said, with persistency, I think he can do better. Okay. But what is lacking now, when you see I am saying that it would have been better, which that bridge we finish crossing, that it would have been better when he is with Baka, or that bridge we have crossed. My reason was that we see, for typical example, we saw George Weah is president. And you will notice when Magay started going around in bombing in Magibi, undertaking projects in Magibi, Building market buildings. You go in my giving night, when you start asking people in big need to know is my game. With all the integrity issue right now hanging on my gate's hair, majority of those people, as soon as you ask them, McGill. And that's what I'm talking about, the persistency, getting to these people and continuously, registering your name in their mind. But again, I don't know whether it is now, whether they will be able to.
So hold on now. Are you saying he should go there to be building markets and stuff too?
No, I am saying the persistence of seeing the person. I'm not saying they're in the market. But if the regular is seeing the person and hearing the name of the person, that name starts to register in the mind.
Like, I think, was it a Labor or Lofa? Yeah. One of them was saying here.
So I'm talking that we were talking about how Mr. Joy also talked about the Joy Witness campaign. And people don't know that campaign system works a lot. Because I did it on Ellen Johnson's Salif. Places that people didn't want to go, I went there. You see the Gala Street, the Johnson Street, where those guys were, our what do you call it, disabused or abused brothers and things that we commonly call Zogos. Those were the people I was targeting. Those were the people I was interacting with every day. And because of that, they knew me. And when I was talking to them, they saw reason that, okay, we can trust her, whatever she tells us, we will believe what she tells us. And that's why if he continues, I'm not saying that, but again, to get to all of the various counties, it's not an easy thing. But for me, that's where I see where the fault is. Because I'm telling you, 1997, I went to a village called Gaye, what do you call the place? Gaye, around Batala.
Yeah.
So
let me bring in Jennifer a little bit. I think
let me just conclude, Mr. So I beg you. Yeah. When we got to the place there, I saw a lady that came to register her vote, and that lady fell off. When she fell off, they went to, revive her. She came back, and that lady insisted that she must vote. When they asked the lady why, I was concerned because I really wanted to know why she would be in that condition and coming back to vote, because I thought she would have given up to go. But what she told me was, the time we're here suffering, that child setter gave me rice. You know that song, don't rice thing? Because they knew the name child setter and they heard the name child setter, the name was the one registering on their mind. So if my advice would just be, if they can make those moves, make his name register in the people's mind, miss his availability there, that can work for him. But other than that, it's not an easy thing.
So, Mr. So, if I would just, if I will please just pose this question. I think I spoke of it earlier, and my question will be: it appears to be that we have one person as of now that we are holding to a specific criteria. The standard here is that Mr. Cummings should be the one to go to every village or town when others are sitting and feeling entitled. Should we then say that should be the process? Or what is it that we are looking at? What is the benchmark? What are we looking at to consider him as that guy who's supposed to do it, while others sit back and just wait to be handed the presidency?
No, but there are two possible scenarios. There are two possible scenarios in that.
Let me answer that question. It doesn't necessarily have to be Mr. Cummings.
Okay.
But Mr. Cummings surrogates can get there. People should get there. Places that I went for Ellen, it wasn't Ellen's face that they were seeing, but they saw Ellen through me. Okay? And that's what I'm talking about. People who want the position and want to sit there and walk to them, let them sit. But if I want something,
you're saying it should be everybody in the opposition who wants to get rid of George Weah should get out there and do the work.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Exactly. It's not one man's job. And that's why I told people I reduced my Facebook activity too much, except for LRC that I'm working on a ground. I don't do my politics like
let's
people do.
guys, let's return to baseline. Let's return to baseline. Yeah, hey,
All
Sissy,
right.
good evening, welcome. Yeah, before I bring in Cecilia, let me get to Jonathan because there were questions asked, and maybe these are wondering questions with other supporters of ANC, and sometimes they come here to listen to this thing here. Is there any strategy in place to unveil, to go extensive of what Opa George was saying, Moserado Nimba? Are there plans in place upon his return that he will be all out there? And I've said it before. I say if I were like a party chairman or standard bearer, my party would not spend. My party chairman would just only come to town during the weekend to get a report, the update from these very. I don't see why election time, party chairman they say that in Morovia, South. You should be going after the voters. Sit with them. That's where you're supposed to be. Jennifer, quickly here. Are there plans? I'm not saying it's not been happening, but to be more visible, extensive, every part of Liberia to see comments?
Thanks so very kindly again. And all of the recommendation put forth, we take it on an advancement firstly, just to let you know. But we have been doing some work. I guess it is not highly reinforcing. That's why the recommendation is coming in terms of outreach. And I think it has the more the merrier. As of 2017, the vote we got in Mesurado County to have come third, it was because Mesurado was adopted by our global, then it was comments for Liberia. So they adopted Mesurado and they worked assiduously hard, and that's how we came third place. As we speak, the entire country have been mapped and they have been adopted. Nima, as a specific county, has some reinforcing energy, and knowing some of us energy since we got there, reawakening some of the spirit in our colleagues, and they have been doing exceptional work. So, Mr. George, what we're going to do from here, because this is my second time hearing it, I'm going to get to the Bon County region and other regions, other counties, to see how the activation process is going about in order to reinforce it. That's why the fundraising has been all about, that different regions raise funds in order to institute measures that can help with the messaging. Because Mr. Cummings is not known all over, and no candidate is known just all over. So it will depend on what Dolaka was doing in his hometown, so that when Mr. Cummings get in a hometown, they can relate that this is the guy that he's been supporting. So that is what I wanted to state also. The issue of the fundraising, again, just to further elaborate, is meant to do voters education. Because to reach to those areas and campaign or talk to those people is about voter education. What is happening wrongly and how you want to correct it. Poll watchers, very key. We just saw Lofa County by-election, what happened. And taking power from President Weah is the taking your money back from someone. So you have to have people everywhere, in every polling area, especially in inaccessible terrain. Then we'll have outreaching, which many of you are talking about here, and other interventions that could be made in terms of a little smaller project here and there in order to enhance the efforts of Mr. Cummings and own contribution towards the process. But we take all of these things on an advancement. I just have to provide a correction. I stated that we met on the occasion of Saturday fundraising. Anthony George H. Jones was from the Black Chamber of Commerce. As a matter of fact, he's the board chair of the California Black Chambers of Commerce. He graced the occasion. So I just wanted to mention it in an appropriate manner, other than what I did earlier.
Okay.
But
so
it is.
Says good evening. Let me bring you into this Monday evening first. By the way, I just got information. Your guy is going back. He heading back to Liberia. I don't know whether he going with a broom or they leaving here for you to sweep. But we started it yesterday here. You are politicians. You're involved in politics here, and you've been following things, which is greatly to do. if you were providing consultancy to the Cummings campaign, and that's just for discussion purposes, but if you want to do that is at your own volition. With all of this networking, creating the connections, having these little town hall meetings is significant because it makes people to get to know you much better. I'm hearing usually a tradition after either at the conventions or right after the conventions, people get to know who is the vice presidential, the running mate. The history has been rewritten, which is okay. But we now know, we now know in 3 months' time, ANC political leader Benedict Cummings will be making a choice to get a vice presidential pick. And he also said there's a vetting process, a committee, correct? Is that why you guys are there, Lofad and I stop? So let me put the geographical map right before your decks this evening, Sissy. I know you want your guy to win, not him. But let's do it for the good of the country. Where do we see Alexander Cummings pivoting? If we look at a geographical map to add up to his political strength to get to the finishing line, where do you think he's going to be going? Which county, which direction? Why you think he's going to be, what he should be looking for to making a viable candidate to add to it?
So, hey, hi, everybody. Hey, my brother Lufa, it's nice to see you again. It's been a minute since I last appeared on your show. I see Dolake brought reinforcement today that he are looking for. Hey, my sister Koto, I see you. I ain't even calling the Alaba penny before I get in trouble. Yeah, they're saying way up there with him. But on a serious note, you know, I've always said here, and I don't think Jonathan, stop me if this is private or proprietary, but I've always talked to Jonathan in the background. And I've talked to any opposition political party group, serious political party group that is willing to talk. My work, I've said over and over here, is if I consider this like a rank choice voting. My number one guy is Tier 1. My number 2 person is Alexander B. Cummings. My number 3 person is Joseph Boakai. That is my rank choice. And because my intent is to ensure that Dr. George Weah serves 1 term, I'm not going to hoard my intellect or my skills and say this is only for Tier 1 Gonglo's access. I've talked to people in the ANC. I've talked to people in LPP. I'm in a Unity Party chat room. What I have managed to earn in this country, whether it's my expertise as a teacher or having run in U.S. elections and ran successful U.S. elections for Senate here in Minnesota, it should be a blessing to my nation. I shouldn't be hoarding it and saying it belongs to just one group of people. Having said that, I think it would be unfair to judge any political party, but since we're talking ANC, to CPP, to judge Cummings by American standards when we don't have an American process in Liberia. Usually in the United States, after conventions, at the convention is where the presidential candidate raises the hand of the VP pick and blah, blah, blah. But we don't even know whether we'll have election year. The election commission has not even told us what guidelines, when election hearing will begin. So we don't have that process. And so I want to be very careful with the judgment I give based on that, right? Because I want to make sure my judgment is scientific and is research-based. So when I'm saying Cummings is wrong, I have to be able to quote the data and the stats on that. So I want to really walk away from that. And by the way, no political candidate has even named in Liberia, even when the NDC was proper, has named their VP candidate at their convention. We always wait till later on with like a teaser. Having said that, though, Cummings is one person who has now said that he's thinking, because I know he was careful to say he's thinking about first quarter of next year. So at least that is a timeline he's laid out. A lot of other politicians have not laid that timeline out. So even though there are mistakes being made along the way, but I think Cummings is being a trailblazer. He's doing a lot of things new in Liberian politics. right? He's announcing, and I don't know whether the ANC wants to accept that or not, but he announcing kind of like a kitchen cabinet when he named Tim Cummings. And that is why Louis Brown has taken over, instead of it always being the political leader speaking, that you have surrogates to speak. So that you have a kitchen cabinet, so that now we can start thinking about what will be the communist doctrine when it comes to this and that, by looking at those people that he's brought into that kitchen cabinet. So for me, that is groundbreaking. We might have differences on the people he brought there. We can have the argument about that, but you cannot argue that this is groundbreaking, that he's telling us, giving us an idea of the people that he listens to, the people that he will pick up a phone call at 2 o'clock in the morning to talk to. Right. And so for me, I think those are groundbreaking. But again, there are arguments that to be had, but we cannot argue the fact that that is a groundbreaking stuff. Now, you asked the question about where will Cummings have to go. If I were advising the CPP, which I'm not, Jonathan is here, they're making that money. Lofa Junior, and they're the one here that doing that thing.
Hold on. Before that back.
I knew Lofa was going to come out. But on a serious note, if I were advising,
something I pick a cartel.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Oh Lord.
that Prophet keep training you or what?
Okay, let me move this and see what I can get him back there. You know what? Let me get him off. Maybe something. Yeah, this guy now bring a Walmart cartel again tonight. Okay, let me just get him off so that I think it's frozen. So he gonna come back. He gonna join us. Samson, what are you doing?
Mr. Soul, I'm just trying to fan myself. That's about it. With my cartel.
Okay, he's back.
Okay, because I put my cartel down. That's why you back.
So sorry. I'm in rural Minnesota, and broadband connectivity is an issue here.
Cartel connectivity. Walmart cartel connectivity. Where you
going? Real fast. If I were advising Cummings, because I want to keep it to the ANC, because again, I can't juxtapose that on the LPP or on Unity Party, because they have.
Yeah, he really in rural Minnesota for true. Oh my goodness. Samson To is this total guy always a hands always in evil. Why are you behaving like this, Samson?
So if Samson To takes that out again, I'm coming to California. But real fast, where does Cummings have to go? All right. The ANC and the CPP has been pushing this narrative, which is based in their stats, that Cummings came third in Macerado, very popular. But they lost the presidency. And so what that means to me is that the urban area, the most popular.
There's somebody in Labro. Okay. Well, that's a little challenging one here this evening. So
tell us exactly which part of Liberia you're at, and stop saying Minnesota. I know we call Minnesota Little Liberia, but don't do that. Tell us exactly which part of Liberia you're at.
Mr. So, if I may.
Yeah. Okay. Sister, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. So
just talk quick so you can finish again.
Yeah. So Cummings need to focus on those places that they didn't do very well. They did well in Monrovia, which is a fact. So now they have to focus on the ignored, the disenchanted, the cynical, the sideline voters. Those voters have to be activated and reactivated. There are people in Liberia, mind you, who have not registered to vote, who are of voting age because they are cynical about politics in Liberia. Politicians have not been nice to them historically. Politicians have not been truthful to them historically. Politicians have always gone and traded the 6 years of suffering for 6 cups of rice. Those people have removed themselves from nearing politics. So it is upon the ANC and all opposition political parties to reach to those people and activate them, re-energize them, give them a reason to believe that Liberia belongs to them and they can make a change. The people that are going to vote are already going to vote, right? The data is there. Those people that voted last time, they're there. There are new voters that came of age since 2017. That for them, the only thing they know is the George Weah government. And this is a chance for the opposition to lay down the differences, the stark differences between their sufferings for the last 6 years and the last 5 years and what it looks like for an alternative. So hence you have the alternative National Congress. So I think focusing on people who voted last time is not a bad thing, but you have to bring in the new voter, the Obama voter, so to speak, right? If we want to give that analogy, you got to bring in those people who have been dispossessed, who have been sidelined, who have not had a share in the national pie, who have felt that their votes don't matter, and so they go on their phone when it's election day. They say that people think I ain't got time to nothing to do with it. They have to go back to those people and make sure that they understand this is not the people thing; it is your thing. And I think this is where all opposition politicians, political parties, but especially ANC, since we're talking ANC, ought to be spending the time. And I think that's what Doloke was talking about when he said they're going to be going to the villages and everything. You have to do that. You have to get back those people that have been dispossessed, because the silent majority, the dispossessed, are more than the people who participate in elections in Liberia.
So, brother Sissy, let me just again throw this in there real quick here. Based on my position and what I see happening in Liberia, I will say, and I want to be very emphatically clear about this. I don't want this to be a political party. If any Liberian who have noticed, experienced, and seen what is happening in Liberia, I think the idea should be, let us push these politicians, the oppositions, to go out there and get these people to register and educate them on the importance of their vote so that they can come out to get themselves out of this problem. Because if we simply say you identify a specific political party, I agree, we are discussing the ANC tonight, but I want to challenge all opposition, regardless of what political party you're from. Get out there, do the job so that you can get a result. Do not sit back and expect to be given the piece of the pie, because you've been in government for the past 200 years. So now you want to be given something as just in return. So I just want to say, let us not be the ANC. Let it be the opposition.
Okay.
Don't go to my uncle, Lofa. Don't go to my uncle.
Okay, so quickly here. Let me play.
I didn't say that.
All right,
Mr. So, can I change a little bit here, please, if you don't mind?
Yeah, sure.
So I was out here earlier reporting to you some of my observation from Saturday to Sunday. And one of the things that I've also observed was that it seemed to me, and I could be wrong, but it seemed to me that Cummings' explanations that relate to his inner circle, the Louis Brown and the other stuff, I think is a little bit convoluted. And not only that, but perhaps is if they are not careful with it, and they meet up with tough questionnaire, they might have issue with it. I'll give you an example. He says when the question was posed to him about his inner circle and their tinted record, and I'm paraphrasing again, he said that we have to be very careful how we try to adjudicate these past records. These are claims, and nobody yet has been convicted. And I'm just paraphrasing, I'm saying. And therefore, for us to just say that we're going to now go ahead and distance ourselves from certain people, that will be unjust. Now, having said that, let me read. This is not paraphrasing, and I'm quoting. This is what Cummings wrote. He said, you cannot credibly refute claims, not proving, not guilt, but claims that you contributed and helped to direct the activities of the movement for democracy in Liberia model, a functional group in the Liberian Civil War, including paying for logistic support in 2002 for Model rebel to travel from Ivory Coast port to Sino in Liberia to fight against Taylor. Speaking about President Weah. He also went on to say that the president provided boat and provided guns and ammunition estimated to be 150,000 to Model. That's claim. But yet still, Kumi is insisting that we stay away from claiming that people have done certain things within his circle. So those two scenario does not, they're not matchable. You can't match them. On one hand, you coming yourself claiming that somebody cannot refute claims of other people accusing them, but yet still you want to make that public and you want that to be a judgment against that person. But when it comes to your inner circle, you now are saying that these people, yes, they might or may not. We don't know that until they are found guilty. We can't continue to put everybody in these kinds of situations. I think that those two explanation or whatever you want, judgment call or whatever, I think they have to be very careful how they try to lay it out on that.
So, Lpr, now your good work is about to derail again this evening here. And I'm going to call you out right now because this is so ridiculous. You had 3 days with Comey. You were given the opportunity to ask you were given the opportunity, the microphone was in your hand. You stood there, it's in your home base. And this is where you guys in the media are so disappointed too. What a ridiculous question you want to bring here. So then let me ask you, you liberal progressive, knowing all of these clouds and these apprehensions are convoluted, whatever word you use, why didn't you were facing Coleman directly? Coleman did accuse. And I wanted to ask question yesterday. You asked me to, let me expose you now. You asked me to channel my question through you. For what? You who? Why didn't you,
Mr. So, Mr. So, the reason why I didn't ask you question because I was mesmerized by Mr. Cummings, just by pure engagement. Mr. So, come no on a very serious note. On a very serious note. On a very serious note. Let me just say this on a very serious note. Good point. The reason was, first of all, I have limited time to ask my question, and I have selected 4 questions that I have in mind. This is not one of those. I'm working behind the scene. Hopefully, we can have coming here on this platform to have an interview. And he's Mr. So deliberate. We've been friends. I told you guys, we've been friends for a while until the central right came in. Now you think you have a supporter now. You're going to try to bamboozle this liberal to think that he's going to come your way. And I'm still, like I told you from the beginning, Cummings King June is still in me, and I'm not ready to give up to anybody here tonight. And whether you're running the show or not, Mr. So the liberal is speaking. The liberal is on. I'm trying to explain to you. Now you're going to try to interrupt the liberal because you feel that perhaps you're running the show. No, this is Liberal Public Radio, the platform where intellectuals are allowed to express themselves freely. So please let me do that. Since I consent, people love me, Mr. So. Everybody keep praising me, Mr. So. You won't believe how many praises that I got yesterday in this conference.
So go ahead.
The central right, I wasn't even talking to you. Why are you jumping in there? But let me finish my point. Mr. So, if we're successful to bring Mr. Cummings on here, we will be able to ask him all that question. Go ahead, please.
Next time, what I can say, LPR will not send something to cover ANC. That's what I will say. Okay, thank you so much. No, but I mean, that's a valid question. Hopefully, because on a serious note, and that's the laziness on the part of some of our reporters, they're quick to forget. They're quick to forget. Those were some grave allegations or concerns raised by a high-profile politician. And nobody, I don't know whether anybody has ever had a chance. They've been meeting with him in Liberia. Nobody have ever had a chance. And I'm quite sure there are reasons for which he said what he said, unless people got to go through to follow that. So, Sese, this network here, just how we are accountable to I like my man here. Where his name here? Okay, let me see his name here. Reincarnated Lidivico, or whatever your name. Hopefully, I'm calling your name. He said you spoke for 25 minutes without answering the question. Where will Kwame go as per VP pick? So and that's a question I'm asking. Thank you so much for bringing that. So where should he? I mean, because the reason here is we're saying Lofa, we're saying Bon County, we're saying Lima. Jennifer mentioned something. Lima seems to be you are politicians. It's all about being strategic, very being strategic and calculative in whatever decision you're going to be making. Let me ask this question again. Let's make a guess game here. Maybe it might be our last Powerball run spin around. Question time is already against us here. Which way do you think he will pivot? Which county, which region do you think he's going to be going?
Well, again, like I said to the reincarnated, the question was about where should he go to get votes. We were talking about Maserati and everywhere else. But if it's about the vice presidential pick, again, I don't know if Cummings was watching me or listening to me. But for all it's worth, data-wise, Nimba County, I know Jonathan is trying to push that, but Nimba County, you can only divide one good in so many parts until people start getting very small shares. You got Tewan Gonglo, who is my guy, running out of Nimba County. That's a big factor. You got Prince Johnson, love him, hate him, or whatever, is a huge factor in Nimba County. And then besides that, you have this split between kingmakers and people who are trying to unseat Prince Johnson from being kingmaker, who was split out in other parties. I think picking a vice presidential pick in Nimba County might be okay, but will not carry a lot of bang for their bucks as compared to going to Lofa County and dividing Kola, that Babun divide Kola or Ome Buaka in Lofa County.
Okay, this is going to be all of our take-home questions. So the second layer will be a male or female running mate. Sissy.
Well, definitely a female running mate.
Definitely.
Definitely a female running mate.
Do you have anybody in mind?
There are a lot of very smart, talented people all over Lofa County. I don't want to start throwing people's names out here, but I know Cummings has a lot of people doing research. But at the end of the day, if you can't find somebody out of Lofa County and you really want a strong, powerful woman, not just for the name that I'm carrying a woman, that disrespectful thing we do. We just want women and we say, okay, we got women here, but we don't empower them. We don't bring the ones that will really speak truth to power. They think about Madame Bowie.
Okay.
That would be a very strong person.
Okay. 30 seconds each, guys. We are already out of time. Lofa Julius, which county and where you think male or female, to vice presidential running mate?
Quite honestly, on this one, I'm going to agree with my brother Cizzy on here to say, definitely, I would love to see a female running mate on the ballot with whoever is going in there. But and I'm just gonna be upfront here. I want to see a young, energetic female who is vocal, and in that direction, I may not go to Lofa County. I will look at the statement made by Madam Ellen Seddy Johnson when she said, "Is we are engaging or proceeding toward generational change." So in that light, I would say let's go to Liberty Party and hopefully take Charlene Bromsky. Hopefully, the folks of Grand Bassa County, because this young woman is very intelligent. She is up to date. She is ready to get out there. And with everything that is happening to her recently in the Liberty Party, she stood up, put her head above the water, and she is still making the wave. I said, get her on the ticket, and you will have the young people on your side.
Okay. Doloka maybe will be the person. The man from the far right. Which county? You started this whole trouble here.
You asked me the question and you said, but let me just tell you this. I'm looking at maybe 2 or 3 counties. Lofa, Bomb, and Basel.
Your priority?
A female.
What's your priority?
I know I don't want to call any name now, but
no, I'm not saying you should call name. We should don't pour into 3 county situation we can handle. Where do you?
Not because I'm from Bon County, but I would think.
I asked you that one.
No, to be honest, I would think Bon County. or
County.
Lofa. Those are the two. Those are my priority: Bum and Lofa.
Okay. Let our queen, the queen on the LPR, cut the due here tonight. Koto, let's say come and place a call here tonight. Which county do you want him to go to take a vice presidential running mate?
Yeah. See, people talk about going into a county to split the county. We saw when the VP took his vice running mate from, was it Bon? He's from Bon, right?
Oh,
He came from Agiri. Okay. So the thing about it is, when you come from low, density county, it's kind of like the margin can kind of be low. You look for a candidate that is popular, and like the Reddit said, he should look for a female because you need to balance the equation. You're getting a female. But somebody that keep running through my mind, I have been in politics, like if you talk about Lofa, but because somebody already talked about Bowie. Another influential lady in Lofa is Mariama. Okay. And yeah, she's from Kwenu Bole.
I don't know.
Well,
Mariama Fofana.
I mean, that's from I see.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about getting people, not just anybody, that's a little in politics. You can't go now and say somebody who quiet, who cool to run on a ticket. So it's hard.
Okay.
And so the rest of the people are already being called, like Lofa said, Charlene, that's from Baza. But again, Charlene is running as a representative. So that's another problem. She already, running as
let's leave it there. At some point in time,
you look for somebody who already in politics that you can, not many women. I know not many women want to come forward.
Okay.
That's the problem we are facing. So
the Liberal Progressive.
Yeah, Mr. So, thank you very much.
You are the Election Commission. You are the principal decider here this evening. We are about to entrust the country literally in your hand. You already, it look like, I think your, Sese, you were saying here, your Uncle Pa, he done. Right now, the King doing the ghetto Liberal in Sacramento, he done.
The man switched from Buckeye?
Oh, man.
That by you go to get him, by you go.
But I think Maria
whatever Lofa Junior there, whatever Lofa
is still with
Junior,
Apple, right? Or she gone to CDC?
I don't even know. So, Liberal, let's get your view. What do you
well,
think?
my view is very simple. Unification is always the case, and the people that will try to unify us, and the way to do it, first of all, the county committee need to go and show true unity. Grand Gita County, that the first place need to go and show unity. Where the area they try to massacre them, let him go back and show the people, look, I want to be your president too. Even though you got dead away here, but I want to be your president too. Let him go and say that. And then the next my closing on the unification, I pick my sister, Nyambly Lawrence Cochran, to be your vice presidential candidate. Mr. Central, right? You are talking. I'll say anything. I'll say anything. Let me talk. Nyambly Lawrence Cochran will be one of the best vice presidential candidate for Cummings, to be honest. And I think that will close the deal of unification. That's what I want to say.
Jennington, do you want to respond to these random pick before we go?
I just want to say something quick to Mr. Toll. You can't have a candidate from Southeastern, then take the vice candidate from Southeastern.
Nyambly is not from Southeastern.
You go Grand Judah,
No, I said let you go to Grand Judah and make peace and tell the Grand Judah their wicked behavior, the way they treated him, which was wicked, and say, look, even though you got bad behavior, but I'm going to be your president too. I want to be your president as well.
He's not talking about getting the pick, but you remember Mr. Cummings and Koluba scenario, what they did, and
so quickly
quickly go ahead, Jennington. what you make of
Yes.
all of these assertions?
Yes, first thing, let me say what Mr. Toh said. It is very important. We initiated that process after that period. The sons and daughters of Grand Junior came to the party headquarters. I remember our faces were marked with white chalk as a sign of peace. But we need to do better to get into the county and demonstrate that. On the front of the peak, being very honest with you, and where I sit as an executive, I would state for the record that I would prefer, given Mr. Cummings in the age of 66, I would prefer somebody that can connect better with the young people. I cannot decide which gender I can ever state it or a specific location. But I like to, if this is the closer of the show, I like to talk just in a minute about a specific thing that drove the innovation yesterday when he spoke about comparative advantage, value added to production. What in Liberia that we have the capacity to produce that other countries, not necessarily rice, but that other countries that got bigger markets cannot produce, that we can produce and add value to it to export in order to attract investment into our country. So that aspect was very important to us. And the healthcare, that which is a priority, but in that priority about the issue of for primary healthcare, education as priority, but in that priority about vocational, of course, they got to deal with that in there because they got a strength in it.
No, but
But it was quite a wonderful time.
Okay, gentlemen, to our princes on this network, I want to thank you so much for your time, for your expertise. Hey, look, Lofa Julius from across Africa, thank you so much for spending the evenings. I think we need to be doing this sort of routinely. We come there, we come here, other network, to have these sort of national conversations. It's really, really necessary for us to do this. And to our many viewers, listeners, followers, your comments, your tweets, your counter arguments, your suggestions, we go back and review, and it helps us to enhance and make us to learn a lot. And the interactions, the level of persuasion you bring to the conversation. And I listen to one guy. Where is my favorite guy who bring balance to this network? Where is Sissy tonight? This is to show that these people, our folks here, they take cane, they take to heart things that we do here, conversation that we have. And this is why we will come here for us here, our panelists, even the host. We respect all of you here for your time, evening, morning hours. Some places I know some of you guys is early morning and all of that. We really, 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 really appreciate that. So that's how we're going to be living here.
I have a question.
For who?
I want to do
you, Mr. George,
and I have
Mr. George, Central Right. I have a question. For you, Mr. So. I have a question, Mr. So. I have a question for you, Mr. So, Mr. George, Sissy. I have a question for all three of you.
Okay.
Where is
hold on 1 second. Wait, we got to agree. Then you ask the question.
I said question, then you say you got to agree. Are you agree to say, yeah, you think I total courthouse with I say I got a question. Or you got to, let me ask my question. The question is, for 2 days.
Congratulations, Libra. You did well. You did absolutely marvelous work on behalf of the platform.
You can't like
this guy. He no different from Donald Trump. He likes to be praised. He likes to be said thank you.
Thank you, Stacey, for recognizing my talent. I appreciate that coming from you. Nothing liberal that people cannot trust, but coming from you, I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Are you saying I dedicated the whole show to you from the start?
With you, I'm going to the December 17th protest. I will be in Monroe protesting against LPR not getting paid on time.
Okay, Mr. Toh, you did a marvelous job on behalf of LPR. But I want to ask you these questions. Where is VP Barker? He returned back from Nigeria. What about?
Mr. So, can we say good night to our friends and brothers who've been watching us?
Can you
Good night
please
to all
answer?
of you.
Can you answer her question?
Mr. So, you told me the show was over. Good night to all of you, please.
So one thing on mine.
I want to say my closing, Mr. So.
Okay, one real quick thing. I said that yesterday, but Jonathan was not here, so let me just be brief. The ANC, the CPP, as a political collaboration, has done something new. They yesterday in the chat while the video was rolling, they put in there a link to a Google Doc for experts who feel like they can help Liberia in whatever field to fill up and submit so that you can be part of the panel to come up with these ideas. That is, for me, it is new because of the perception out there, for good or for bad, that the ANC people think they know everything. So for this to be created now shows that Cummings has been listening, at least his team has been listening to say, okay, I might not have everything. We're still looking for people out there. That is a good thing. Now, having said that, I can't say a good thing without saying some limitations. The plan for your education system, I think it is a good start, but it is flawed when we talk about subsidizing parochial schools instead of elevating public schools to compete with parochial schools. I think it's still wrong. A lot of us are products of those church schools, the parochial schools, that our poor parents have to work, share in market buildings and work overtime to send us there. Even with the subsidies that were given, they still were not available to the vast majority of people. We're still picking losers and winners. I will hope that you guys can go back and look at that idea of subsidizing parochial schools. Giving government subsidy to any private entity ought to be checked and looked at very seriously. I will hope that the Cummings administration, their agenda will put a lot more money into the public schools so that public schools can compete with private schools instead of trying to subsidize parochial schools.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, Koto, go ahead quickly before we go.
Yeah, I want to do something, I want to continue doing something, because what happening is many of our people, our traditional people, have not been able to hear some of our things that we talk. I want to take this time, just 10 minutes, to talk to our Loban people, so that at least they will be able to understand some of our discussion that we have here. So if you can afford me the opportunity, I just want, not even quite 5 minutes, just to tell the Loban people what we have discussed in chat.
I think that's a very good initiative. So
Flugo, I can feel it. Flugo.
So to start with it, we'll do 5 minutes. So maybe we could make it like a tradition, because we speak the thing there and people don't understand what they're talking tonight. I want to see the total man speaking total. I want to see the man from Lofa, from Bon County speaking Belly. I want to see. So let's kick it off here tonight. Let's hear your Loma here. It might be a correct one, or no English will be mixing it.
The last time we're here for the Lofa election, remember when I did that thing in Loma? Let's see.
Loma get take over all these Oma. Okay, nigga, have a funny tip. Gaga Sulas Oma. Twaga. The Matica Vosa Vazocono. Quando go maga, o will need to paget Nimati and Nitavazo. Would Damaga in a packet, in a packet waga, Nuva go. When Nazu, I was sick, I knew what other you ever ma. I'm a man no telling or go quinny, or go quinny. Gadate, Gada is a caravizo. Gurka, Naka, Gurka. No guy is a caravizo. Ka no nuva go naga ya natasi giziga was adisi adabra whatever na go ne adeka eka was even now magalizo vozazo my yo abana ma nuva yo abana na adepa ada mama no e adi adizei so amana zai na wata in a pagini to take care of telava gana glava la le in a pagi go busu ga witazo kaga busu ovama going to will go man in a peggy got over, go in a peggy got over. So now, ma go, mamma willow. Who I not figure another guy go war, Gavasu was in the peggy gabusuga. So, mamma, I think I know, in a know, in a peggy gapuna gaboma. Mamma was say, thank you, Mr. So.
Man, look, you know
So,
what? We
so,
were
Kakavale, hold on, Mr. So, Kakavale, Zilla, Evaizi, Vega, Yanui, Ipru, Namanuia, Evana, I was so that. Kabusuga, Kakavale, yo, Kawale was Agasa, Abakawale was Lana Babizi, is in
the
so wow.
so she talked about the paper. She said she went to Uncle Sa. So me and say the paper. Oh, let lay in
You see, you
Hamburg.
get it wrong. You get it wrong. You see, he interpreted me wrong.
Okay,
I said for
guys.
me, that's where I'm going. But if you want to go to anybody, it should be somebody good.
Yeah, thank you so
When
much.
you
I
interpret,
think this is a very. I think
I
that's
knew
another
this is
way.
gonna. I know it's gonna take that trend. That's why we thought to
Yeah.
kind of put it in the dialect.
Okay.
Yo, hold on there.
Yeah, so when he interpret well.
So
Wait,
I
that's
think
what
it's a
you
very good thing.
We're
We're gonna pay attention to this because we one of my she 70 something she on Facebook. We say they are Facebook, yeah, your thing you can talk with not yeah. So we need to be start doing it. I'm gonna challenge Samson to in the next edition. And he said the speak crown, we'll see who is who, and the best person that speaks the crown will get a award. But I think it's Koto. Thank you for that. I think that's another way of creating an awareness to our people to vote and to make good decisions. It's brilliant, it's far-sighted. Guys, thank you so much for your time this evening. And to our many listeners and viewers, thank you so much. Have a pleasant day.
Thanks for the invitation, Mr. So. Appreciate it, guys.
Look, I thank you. Samson told you must come back with that answer. Don't run away. You'll come back.
Good night.
Thank you so much and have a pleasant evening for your time.